let's speak about everything that is going on at Lordstown Motors right now. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and an awful lot is happening with this company at the moment. Now, I don't want to come on here and act as if everything is fantastic, etc. But what I do want to do is speak about what well and truly is going on and how it is affecting us investors at the moment and the potential future of Lordstown Motors. And in order to do so, there are quite a few things that I want to speak about in today's video. You'll see I have quite a lot of tabs open. So first and foremost, potentially the most important thing is Lordstown Motors announces leadership transition. Both the CEO and CFO of the company have resigned and are no longer at the company. Angela Strand is now executive chairwoman at Lordstown Motors. So we're going to take a look into who she is, what she has done in the past, and the fact that this is not a permanent position as of this moment of time. We're going to have a look at this particular 8K, which speaks a little bit about the new CEO, CFO, and the packages that Steve Barnes and the old CFO will be getting now that they've left the company. And importantly, if any hints were left in regards to the potential future of the company in this 8K. Something that has just been completely ignored from what I can see is this came out. Lordstown Motors reports results of special committee investigation of the Hindenburg research report. The reason this has been forgotten about is because it came out pretty much 1 minute before this happened. We will take a look at the price action because, guys, honestly, it is really weird. And when I say that, I'm specifically speaking about the volume it took to move this down multiple dollars. We'll speak about talks of bankruptcy and why that doesn't really make sense. And we're going to take a look at the institutional investors and what they have been doing. So basically a lot of things I want to speak about in today's video. So right before we do get into it, could I please ask you to hit that juicy like button, drop me a comment down below, and please, my friends, subscribe if you're new around here. And with that being said, let's just go ahead. So first and foremost is this. Lordstown Motors announces leadership transition. This is what drove Lordstown crazy yesterday. That is what led to this drop. It was absolute insanity. So the first thing they say is they announced several changes to its executive management team as the company begins to transition from the R&D and early production phase to the commercial production phase of its business. So Angela Strand has been appointed executive chairwoman of the company and will oversee the organization's transition until a permanent CEO is identified. So this is very important. There is going to be a new CEO coming into the company. As I touched on in the intro of today's video, Angela here is not a permanent position. Who is that going to be? We have no idea, but it genuinely could be linked, okay, to the fact that Lordstown Motors needs financing. We found out about that recently. We kind of had an idea that it was coming. It could also be linked to the fact that Steve Barnes and the CFO have been let go. There's a few theories going around online that potentially there is an investor, but part of the clause, part of, you know, them actually investing in Lordstown would be new management to an extent. On behalf of the board of directors, David Hamamoto stated, Lordstown Motors has achieved significant milestones on the path to developing the first and best full-size all-electric pickup truck. We thank Steve Barnes for his passion and commitment to the company as we transition to the commercial stage of our business with planned commencement of limited production in late September. We have to put in place a seasoned management team with deep experience leading and operating publicly listed OEM companies. Now, one thing that I find quite odd as of right now is that shorts have never really liked Steve Barnes. And over the last 3 months or so in particular, I think it would be fair to say a lot of people have lost confidence in Steve Barnes and, you know, his ability to carry Lordstown Motors much further. Alongside a PR team that most people won't say have done particularly well. And I kind of have to agree, sadly. A lot of things just have been handled very poorly over the last few months. So the shorts, you know, one of their reasons for being short was the management. And now a reason for being short is the fact that the CEO and CFO have resigned, been asked to leave. We're not exactly sure. There has always been so many unanswered questions with Lordstown Motors, and this is just another one. Who is the new CEO going to be? Who's the new CFO going to be? Is this going to impact the future of Lordstown Motors in a positive manner? I personally would be quite happy to see this man, Rich Smith, the current president of Lordstown Motors, turn to CEO. He's the man overseeing day-to-day operations, including manufacturing and engineering. He has over 30 years of automotive industry expertise, including experience at Toyota and Nissan, Hyundai, Volkswagen, JD Power, and Tesla Motors. As far as the management teams goes, this is one of the names that more people will be aware of, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. Make him CEO. Now, Angela, in the time being, has quite a history. Independent director, compensation committee chair, member nominating and governance committee at Nuvi Holding Corp. Founder and CEO of Strand Strategy for 21.5 years. And there is many more here. She was also the vice president at Workhorse for almost 2 years. Smith Electric Vehicles all the way back in April 2011. Marketing and business development, market development, she has a lot of experience. Let's put it that way. I think as far as things go, yeah, happy to have her in the position right now, but I do think a permanent CEO has to be found very, very quickly. How do I feel about the decision? I'm not sure yet. When we find out who the new CEO is going to be, then we will know. And hopefully things get handled better over at Lordstown. Because at the end of the day, we're investing in the endurance truck. We're also investing in the business, and a big part of any business is the management team. Now, again, if you take the time to go and read through this Form 8K that came out, in connections with the separations of Mr. Barnes and Mr. Rodriguez, the CEO and CFO respectively, they entered into separation and release agreements. So Steve Barnes continued base salary payments for a period of 18 months in the aggregate amount of $750,000. Mr. Rodriguez's separation and release agreement provides for continued base salary payments for 6 months to the amount of about $200,000, and continued vesting of certain outstanding stock options with an exercise price per share equal to 179. Now, this here, when you read through this, you're led to believe that, you know, they didn't just quit on their own behalf. They've essentially both been asked to leave. Pair that with the fact that the board of directors thanked them, but said that they need a better management team. Essentially, let's be honest, you'd believe they were asked to leave. And I mean, when you're given a good deal like that, why not? And again, that brings us back to, why were they asked to leave now? Why would they be asked to leave if something is not already lined up? Me personally, I'm of the opinion that there has to be something there. And I personally would be of the opinion, again, that it could well be an investor of sorts. A lot of people think GM, potentially, who knows? Even if it is GM, it's not necessarily a saving grace. But the other thing I really want to point out, and something that I've been trying to wrap my head around, is how little volume it took to move the stock and how much volume preceded and barely moved the stock. So here's where all of this happened, okay? It was at about, let's say, 11.40 a share. These red and green lines here are volume. So it went from 11.40 all the way down to about 9.53 off of this little tiny candle here. You'll see it's considerably smaller than our average 1 hour candle, and pretty much $2 wiped out. Close to 20% wiped out from this little bit of volume here, my friends. Look at the volume that preceded. Huge selling pressure. And this is the move we see. I mean, a matter of cents. Buying pressure to the amounts of, 6 or 7 times what the selling pressure was. And it barely moved. For reference, this red candle back here is Lordstown Motors' single biggest ever 1 hour red candle. Ever. That brought the company from about 15.30 down to about 11.26. This huge candle here, compared to this candle that you can barely see when we're zoomed out to this extent, it just seems a little bit fishy. And then remember, guys, there's a lot of institutional investors in Lordstown Motors right now. The Vanguard Group has a near 5% stake in the company. Fidelity is up there with a 2.5%. There has been lots of people buying shares over the last few weeks. Again, Vanguard is there. You will see many more buys than sells. Again, I'm not trying to paint a pretty picture, because this picture is horrible. It's not pretty at all in the short term. But a few things just aren't really adding up at the end of the day. So this price action, to me, it just does not make sense. That's the main point I'm trying to make here. I'm not saying that a downward move such as this one isn't warranted. It's just the volume at which it happened. I mean, again, look at this huge green candle here, bigger than the red candle that led to this. And it went ultimately from 10.10 to 11.21. I personally believe that, the institutions are doing what they do best and playing the retailers. I speak about this very often on the channel, but, institutions, banks, etc. make money on the way up and on the way down. But in order to do so, they have to create an agenda. They have to make you either buy or sell shares so that you can make the price more expensive or cheaper for them to ultimately get a much better deal. Keep in mind, they're playing with hundreds of billions of dollars, not a few thousand like most of us. So not a pretty picture. I'm very interested to see what happens over the course of the rest of this week, in all honesty. Keep in mind as well that, of course, we have Lordstown Week coming up very, very shortly. Who knows what's going to happen here? I haven't seen it addressed. Maybe it has been, but I couldn't find anything on it. I'm not really sure what the plan is now. Again, the timing just seems so odd. There has to be more to this story. And then I don't even particularly want to go through it in today's video, but this did come out 1 minute before the whole management thing. Lordstown Motors reports results of special committee investigation of Hindenburg research report. So we knew this was going on since the report came out. And you can read through it here, and they go through a lot of things and they answer a lot of questions and a lot of allegations that were brought up. And if you hadn't read through this, I highly recommend that you do. One thing I would like to point out though is in regards to pre-orders. I still think it's quite ridiculous that most people bring up the fact that, they tried to make these out to be real orders. Anybody with half a brain knew that they were non-binding. But in most instances, Lordstown Motors pre-orders did not require a reservation or a similar payment. Though pre-orders submitted through a website portal required a refundable $100 payment. We all knew this. Then there was this. Lordstown Motors entered into an agreement to pay one entity commissions for procuring pre-orders. That entity procured approximately 1,000 pre-orders and also assisted Lordstown Motors into entering into an important commercial relationship with a leading fleet management company. The company has 50,000 pre-orders. Okay, this entity led to about 1,000. What about the other 49,000 plus? At this stage could be much, much higher. Again, I wish it was made clearer, but were they organic or has something else happened? But the fact they only speak about 1,000 here, I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the whole world. But this is yet again why I'm saying they need a better PR team. Things need to be communicated much clearer with the investors. And one more thing is a lot of people speak about bankruptcy. Lordstown Motors has no debt. I don't know if people understand what bankruptcy is, but if you've no debt, you don't file bankruptcy. Things may be delayed. Things may have to, be delayed hugely, but they don't have to file bankruptcy. Let's just put it that way. Now, market has just opened as I recorded this video. You'll see it dropped close to just over 1.5%. It's up a little bit. It's still down. Down 1% today isn't a big deal. Nasdaq's down 0.33%. S&P and Dow are both pretty much at break even. Nothing special is happening today. You see the volume, considering we've barely began, is actually considerable as well. But that's my thoughts on everything that's going on. I mean, when you look at the bigger picture, when you really read into things, there is still a lot of unanswered questions. And I understand people's frustrations with this company right now. I couldn't blame anybody for selling out at this stage. There's just a lot of frustration. There's a lot of unanswered questions. And trust me, I am just as frustrated at this stage, my friends. When you put so much time and effort into looking into a company, into speaking with the CEO, and then things like this just keep happening, it's like, ugh. But anyway, guys, if you watch this video all the way till the end, that's what I have to say. I really do appreciate you. You, my friend, are a true legend. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that like button, dropping that comment down below, and subscribing if you're new around here. All that helps me out massively. I genuinely hope you all have a beautiful, fantastic day. I'll see you for another video very soon. Peace.